It is August 2026 in nice and warm Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's Tigo Venturi Realty Group, real broker here in Albuquerque. Been talking about the real estate market and doing these monthly updates for years. So I was digging through the numbers here for July, and we're looking at it here on the screen. This is just the latest read from what happened in July. The thing I'm seeing is a typical seasonal pattern starting to emerge. And I'm going to walk you through that, show you what I'm seeing here in the market in Albuquerque. I think there's some good insights here for both buyers and for sellers. We're here on my website at welcomehomeabq.com, and you can find it right here under monthly updates. So I'm going to just go through some of the sales price numbers right now, because I'm going to talk about inventory and all that a little bit differently here. So first off, median sale price actually up 4% from last year. It was $386,000 for detached homes. And again, median, that's the middle of all the homes that sold in the greater Albuquerque area in July. And up 4% is good. Now, you got to remember that's always going to be relative to the mix of homes that are selling. I mean, median's better than average. So I don't really think home prices are appreciating around 4%. I think it's closer to 3, maybe even 2%. Of course, every home's different, every area is different, every price range is different. But, we're somewhere in that 2 to 4% home price appreciation. The attached homes, which are the condos and townhomes, we're at 279, basically 280,000 for those homes. That's condos and townhomes, basically even with last year. If we look at the numbers here, it says 0.2%. So really no change there. Average price 433,000 for the detached and 281,600. Basically 282,000 for the attached. Again, year over year, not much change, but again, don't take a whole lot of weight in that from appreciation, actual value appreciation for homes, because we're really only looking at homes that sold. And again, these are averages. These aren't comparing the exact home to an exact home. We're just comparing the homes that sold this year versus the homes that sold last year. There's a little bit of a controversy about this this week related to Corrales. There was a news story that came out that said Corrales median price went up 44%, and it kind of got reported that home values went up 44%, which is not what happened. It was the median price went up. Okay. Anyway, if you want to dig into that, you can go to my Facebook. I did a whole thing on that. A couple other things. Median pending price, which is an interesting thing to look at because it's kind of future telling. These are the homes that are under contract and what the median price is, and it's 385,000. Basically even with what homes closed for in July, and that's pretty much even with last year. And if we looked at the attached, it's actually down a little bit. We're really in this odd place with home prices in Albuquerque. Odd, that's probably not the right word, but we're seeing really moderate price appreciation. So we don't always see it, when comparing 1 month to the same month a year ago. We almost need a larger data set, like quarter to quarter or even year to year. But what I want to talk about is inventory and the shift that we're seeing. And this is really a pretty typical seasonal shift. I'm going to shift. Speaking of shift, I'm going to shift to a different chart here. What we're looking at are a few different metrics here. We're looking at, what is this, 5 years back? Yeah. No, 3 years back, excuse me, 2023, January. And we're looking at the monthly read on all these charts we're looking at. So right now we're looking at closed sales. There was 856 homes that closed in July of 26. You can see that over here. And that's up 4%. Let's see, where's July? There's July last year. There was 819. So about 4% more than a year ago. And that's closed sales. The homes actually closed. I'm going to walk through all these different charts. So the thing to note there is we've probably hit our peak in the number of homes that will close this year in a month. You can see the seasonal patterns here. It was May in 24, and then July in 24 again. It was August in 23. It was in July of 25. So again, we're kind of starting that rollover, if you will, in sales activity. All right, next one, kind of to walk through this point. New listings, we did see a a jump in new listings. New listings have actually been kind of behind all year compared to 25. And we actually saw a little bit of bump, 6% more than the same period last year, where we are. Easier for me to find it. There's last year, so you can see it's up a little bit, but it was down previous. Usually we have our peak in May. And for this year, for some reason, we had that peak in May and then it's kind of fizzled out. So we did see a surge in new listings here last month. Surge, that's probably not the right word, but anyway, they're a little bit of bump. Again, pretty normal. As we go into late summer, people start thinking, oh, wait, I got to get this going. And so we see the homes come on the market. Now we'll really start to see fewer and fewer homes come on the market as we go through the rest of the year. And really, that'll continue all the way into December, January. As you can see here, December is usually the minimal number of homes being listed per month. All right, new pending sales. This is how much activity we had. Again, we're probably off the peak for the year. There was 845 pendings, and that's going to shift a little bit. We're only a few days into the month. That'll drop out as deals fall out of contract, which I'm going to talk about more in a second. And then active inventory. So this takes all that stuff we just looked at, pendings, new listings, closed, and so on. How many homes are active for sale at the end of the month? And in this case, we're at 2,064, up 0.5%, basically equal with last year. And you can see in these seasonal patterns, last year, July, August, September, October, and then it drops off. In 24, August, September, October, and then it drops off. So that's probably what we're going to see here. We're going to see the number of homes on the market increasing probably through August, November, and even into October, which is really good news for home buyers. You've got more choices. What happens is, we're back to school, right? We're in back to school week right now in Metro Albuquerque, right? As I'm speaking, and so the activity kind of tapers off a little bit, but there's still activity, and that's going to continue all the way through. Well, there's activity year round. It's just a matter of how much there is. Unsold listings. This is kind of a little more obscure stat, and what we're looking at here is there are 222 homes that came off the market in July, and of the, let's say, what was it, about 1,200 homes in the market. Again, that's starting to tick up from the low at the beginning of the summer, or really early spring is when that happens. We don't see as many homes coming out the market, and then as we usually end up the year, we have a big increase in the number of homes that are pulled off the market unsold. And so we're starting to see that tick up a little bit as we go into late summer here. And let's see, what other goodies do I have? Price changes. Again, same thing. We're starting to see more price changes as we go into late summer. This is the number of homes that are on the market that took a price reduction. That's starting to tick up, down a little bit from last year, but more or less equal. And then pending fallout rate. This is an interesting one. This chart we're looking at, by the way, is a new statistical program that we have at Southwest MLS here in Albuquerque. Gives a lot of really interesting information. This particular data point was something we didn't used to have, and it's the percentage of homes that were under contract in pending status that fell out. Something happened. Really, most of the time, it's something to do with repairs or repair requests. Could be a lending problem. It could be an appraisal problem. Could be a number of reasons. So you have to think about this if you're a buyer or a seller in particular, is that not every deal's make it to close. You get under contract, but there's a lot of contingencies that get worked through before you actually go to the closing table. And in this case, in July, it was almost 19% of the homes that were under contract fell out of contract. And then another obscure stat to a certain extent, because it's new to us. We used to talk about days on market. And the frustrating thing I always had with days on markets, it was looking backwards, because it was telling us of the homes that closed, I don't have it pulled up here, but of the homes that closed in July, how many days were you on the market, which is telling us what happened a month and 2 months ago, whatever it was, because usually we're in escrow for at least 30 to 40 days, something like that on average. This is telling us of the homes that went under contract in July, how many days was it on a median, meaning the middle. So in this case, we're looking at 23 days, meaning half the homes went under contract within 2 weeks. The half of the homes that went under contract took longer than that. So it's a really interesting way to look at it. Again, it shows you the pattern. When we were back in April, May, it was 15 days. Now we're at 23 days. So homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. And I'm going to wrap up with this last one. I know I did a deep dive this month, but you can dig into a lot of the stats on my website, like I said earlier, if you want to. And this is the other one, closed with concessions. These are homes that closed and there was some sort of seller concession. What a concession is where the seller helps the buyer out with some sort of cost related to the buyer purchasing that home. And so we've seen that increase actually consistently over a few years. In fact, I'm going to reset this so you can see over time. Moving up to 2019, it was very common that we see about 30% or so, 20, 30% of homes that had a concession. During the boom days, during the pandemic, that dropped way off. Sellers were in the driver's seat. They didn't have to make any concession. Since 2023, when things kind of shifted, interest rates went up, we've seen sellers having to make more concessions, I don't know if that's the right word, but there are just being more concessions. The buyers do have more leverage than definitely, the crazy days of 2021 and 22. So if you got any questions about real estate, buyer, seller, whatever we can do, we're the Venturi Realty Group of Real Broker here in Albuquerque. Our number is 505-448-8888.